Welcome to the Belly Dance Stories podcast, a multimedia production directed by Alexandra and Valerick.
You will hear inspiring conversations and learn about the ways belly dance has become a powerful channel of transformation in people's lives.
Hi, Val.
Hi, Alex. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
So we're celebrating a year since we did our first Belly Dance Stories production last August.
Sunday, August 14th.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been already a year. And we had the opportunity to do 2 productions, expand to a podcast. A lot has happened in this year since we started surfing the wave of belly dance stories. And there's more things that are under development.
Mm-hmm. So today we wanted to do a anniversary podcast and just have a super casual conversation about this year that has gone by very quickly and that we've done so much in one year. A lot of unexpected things. And yeah, just celebrate the beautiful experience that we've had as the directors of Belly Dance Stories. So I'm so excited. I have my coffee.
We're gonna a lot of learning.
Coffee talk, a lot of learning. Yeah, a lot of learning. So as some of us have heard from our podcast, which by the way, if you haven't yet, our podcast is live, the first season, and we have an origin story that we recorded at HGAB Studios, so we won't go too deep into that, but we actually started around April of 2022. And then from April to August is when we formulated and produced Belly Dance Stories Volume 1. So, though today is the anniversary of the theater show, it was actually work in progress from before. And I found it really wild. The other day, I told somebody that we were 1 year into the project, and they were like, 1 year? It feels like it's been longer.
Yeah.
And it does. It feels like it's been longer because of all that we've worked on. So
we made a lot of noise. I think we're also very passionate to finally, I think our pedagogies are very similar when it comes to teaching. We both have this intention of, bringing and serving dance as a beautiful art form that has so much to offer to people outside of the dance floor. So I think for both of us, it was a beautiful experience to finally find a formula for a production where we can actually articulate that better for general audience and also help dancers to have those deep conversations with themselves. And it's good to dance for pleasure, for beauty, but we wanted it to go a little bit more deep. And I think the production and the evolution of the production has a lot to do with our interest as artists and directors. And for me, that was like a beautiful epiphany in my career.
Likewise, yeah. I was thinking about how I've come full circle almost in when I started to go on my journey of art history and fine arts and that degree in college. I had expected to not belly dance and work in museums, become a director or a curator, and work with artists and in a collective environment. But with dance, I ended up belly dancing more than I did that. And what I found was, come 10 years later, which actually was the anniversary, well, not the anniversary, or yes, 10 years after I graduated, I did belly dance stories with you. And I came full circle. I realized it. So I was really happy that what I had studied was something that would eventually come back to me years later, but as a surprise. And and from surprises I've learned, because I love surprises. Surprises really help us get to know what we're capable of and how we handle, things, if it's in a positive way or in a negative way or both. So this belly dance stories really came to me as a surprise. I don't know about you, but or I kind of do.
I mean, it resonates with me also that I study literature, and that was, something that it was basically one of the first art forms that I basically fell in love deeply. So for me, coming back to creative writing in this project, it's the same experience as you. I was like coming back in a full circle, because I remember when I finished and then I continued dancing. Like I finished my bachelor in literature, and then I'm like my entire life switched completely to be a, a performer and a dancer. That was still there, but with this project was like, oh wow, I'm finally combining, you know, two things that I am more passionate about. And I think with the collaboration with you, it even becomes more interdisciplinary, the project, because even in the work of like doing the poster of, having everything being a unique piece of art as an experience, the project continue like expanding to other disciplines, uh, which I love it. And I think it's something that I was craving for a while too. Um, so yeah, I also like surprises too.
Yeah, it's a really cool blend. And I think that's kind of when they say trust your heart and trust your intuition and yourself and your who you are as a person. When you start to really trust that and work with that, you end up with really beautiful life projects. And I think
Mm,
this is one of them for us.
yeah,
um, After really starting to work with you in this whole year, which I hadn't actually worked with you like at this
mhm,
capacity
mhm.
ever. And it just snapped into pieces like
We did
together.
it.
So
We did it. We did it.
yeah, I think that's really amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we've learned in this journey so far. You can
I
go
think
first.
I think, I have a couple of learning experiences as a dancer and as a director and as a choreographer. Okay. So I think as a dancer, the first show was very important for me to be able to talk about things very intimate. Like I talk about my miscarriage experience, and that was very liberating. And I felt like I really overcome a very impactful event in my life, but I was able also to invite people to have a certain type of conversation about something that is so taboo. And I remember receiving so much response out of that creation when I finally posted, that it made me realize uh, that there's a lot of things that I can say through dance that can be easily, I can express them easily than if just I'm trying to like be outspoken about it. And and then I think as a director and as a dancer also, to be able to take time to conceptualize better my work. I think Belly and Stories kind of like provided a good foundation for that. And I think for a while, my work is very biographical. Like I know every choreography of mine is really related to my state of mind in the moment, what I'm going through my life, meaning that moments where I get a little bit more depressed, I want to dance more sad music, like I want to be more loyal to my emotional climate at the moment. But in this case, the fact that we're putting people to write make me realize that, the writing process is also so important to be able to articulate ideas before throwing them in movement and take some time actually to rethink about that. And yes, I think it was beautiful also as a choreographer. Like this year, I did a piece about connecting with the wild woman and how this dance help us to connect to the wild woman and how we are in a constant battle with, a patriarchal society and all of that. So it felt like I was able to go from a more personal project, right? To then continue evolving into a pieces that are a little bit more political, which are like baby steps for me. But I've been wanting to do this for a while. Um, so so yeah, I think I learned how to do it, and the choreography of Wild Grace, it was very challenging because I had to kind of like rethink, conceptualize movement different, you know, including the storytelling, which is something very new for me, but, having that balance between keeping it abstract and literal at the same time to make it a little bit more interesting. Those, like I'm working with different levels of my artistry that I feel very satisfied and also challenged. How
Yeah,
about
those
you?
are those are really good points. Yeah, there's three areas that we both talk about that we've learned as a director, as a dancer, and as a choreographer. I think the main theme from uh, working with belly dance stories is that my career has changed from personal to collective, and in a very exaggerated way. And it excites me. It makes me really happy because that's always what I wanted. I mean, that's why I had initially chosen to work in the art industry the way that I wanted to have worked in as a curator and director in galleries. But um, before, my work was a lot more solo work. It was, me learning how to teach, me learning how to choreograph, and then trying to bring that to my students. But in this case, what I've learned was that whatever, for example, as a dancer, no, let's say as a choreographer, what I do for belly dance stories has a wider message for storytelling in storytelling. So that has a lot to do with belly dance stories, creative writing, storytelling. But as a choreographer, I learned that what I bring to them is not going to be something so shallow as, okay, we're just going to perform classical piece, and it's just because we want to and learn the technique because it's a beautiful song. No, I
Mhm.
had to conceptualize a lot deeper and think about who is going to be a part of this choreography and how I can give them space to breathe and be themselves, and also inform the choreography at the same time together. So it's almost like choreographing together instead of me bringing a choreography to my students. Belly Dance Stories gave me that space to be to experiment in that way. And I think that's important because then it allows them to start thinking. It's like planting seeds, to start thinking more about why they dance, why this is so empowering for them, or why this makes them happy, or why this, XYZ doesn't matter. So for me, it became from personal to collective experience. And as a director, what I've learned a lot. I've learned from, just the very details of organizing a little better, creating better habits, um, really getting to know what my brain likes to do and how it likes to work, and
Mm-hmm.
then being empathetic and also, compassionate to work with other people and of work with you're as my partner, and how we connect with each other and how we bring challenges to the table to solve, so that we can move forward. And that
Mm-hmm.
makes me really excited and really happy in the opportunity to be able to
Mm-hmm.
do that, because then the project, moves forward. And um, yeah, definitely have learned more about how to um, make conversations more, not beneficial, what's the word? Productive. How to create more productive conversations
Mm-hmm.
with you, with my students, with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So those habits have, I think, I've really learned within this whole year. And I know there's a lot more to learn and to continue practicing,
Mm-hmm.
but that has been my main theme, from my personal to a collective style of working.
We hope you're enjoying the conversation so far.
We want to thank our sponsors, Heart Hips Mind by Sarah Chan, Kathy Lamis Martin, HCAB Studios, and Andrej Gottlich.
Now let's get back to the conversation.
Yep. The collective is so important, I think, in this project,
Mm.
um, because it's a constant collaboration and cooperation between you and me, but also the participants that are part of the show, especially because the first year we did it, but we invite the people. Then the second year we open auditions. So we kind of like started to spread out the conversation where everybody could actually, we went a little bit more democratic, where people can actually engage in the conversation different ways, by submitting a work. Uh, and it was interesting because I think I never had a production where I have people coming to me and telling me, oh, I want to do it because I have this story to tell.
Mm.
And that
Mm.
was very beautiful for the second show. Is that for the first show, we kind of like guide people. It was the first time that we were experimenting, but I think the message was delivered so well that then for the second show, we had dancers coming to us. Oh, I have this story that I wanted to present.
And that's exciting to have that accomplishment, or that people came and asked, I want to tell this story within a year of this project, is a huge deal, I think.
Mhm.
That's good
Yeah,
because
and I
most
and I
belly
think
dancers don't.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think that we're craving that type of experience, especially after the pandemic, where people were like not necessarily looking. No, there's still this craving of getting super beautiful, glamorous, and presenting.
for sure.
I have it. I still have
Me too,
it.
me too.
There hasn't been enough opportunities for us after the pandemic, but I felt that, since we all went into this, lockdown time, that we have like a lot of thinking time.
Mhm.
uh you know People value the artistic work differently. I think dancers also learn during the pandemic to dance in a different way. So
Yeah.
I think the show also provided the perfect outlet for many people that probably took this time to understand themselves, or improve their personal lives. Then being able to kind of like, okay, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the way this affected me, and also there was a lot of intention also in many artists to share it with the idea to connect with others. I want people to, like you say, have a more productive conversations, and I think that's a beautiful ¿cómo se dice? Aportación. I think that's something amazing that the show brings to the table, is the idea to create those connections and give people the courage to share more about themselves than, I know how to do this technique, or I know how to execute this dance beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful support, and I think that belly dance has the potential, or at least a community of dancers have the potential to really support each other, because it's a very feminine energy that we feel when we dance, and that has a way to heal very beautifully, but in a strong way. So, in the climate of Miami and South Florida, it's it's different from the climate from other cities that we've traveled to. I think we've had these conversations. So for us to be able to bring that type of connection back to the Miami belly dance scene, because I remember it was very communal. We were very together at one point, and then that was years ago. And then it just became like pieces, like fabric torn, apart. And then what we're trying to do with this belly dance stories is to be to give them just that space and that opportunity that you can breathe within this project, you can express, but you're also a part of a bigger picture. So you can do what you can in this in your section, but just remember, you are a part of this whole entity that is your South Florida community. So yeah, it's really, and overall, that's what I see belly dance stories has developed into, because it's still developing and we're still experimenting and exploring. But that's kind of the way that I see it going at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been doing good. We've been doing good.
Surprises.
Surprises.
And there was something else that I wanted to say, and now I forgot. It was about the writing. I wanted to go back to what you said about writing and how you have pulled into, or how we also have pulled into creative writing, and that's your background. So it's exciting for you to bring that to this project. And also the successes, the challenges we've had with having our performers write their stories, because we've had successes and we've had challenges. And it's been very interesting to learn how, how when people say to you, I can't dance, and we're like, yes, you can dance, everybody can. It's kind of the same thing for me when people have come to us like, I can't write. And we're like, you can write. Let's help you out here.
It's a process also. Like,
it's a beautiful blooming process.
Yeah. It took a while, I think, at the beginning, for them to feel comfortable to put it on paper. So what I have done as a coach and with the solo artists that I train was, and to many of them, I have to kind of like give them my computer, and I'm like, just sit down and like spill it out. At the beginning, I think it costs a little bit more work just to jump into doing it, but once they are there and they write that first line, it just goes and goes and goes. It flows. And then the process of editing, I think it's the most complicated one,
I think that's been one of our biggest challenges.
That has been one of our biggest challenge. It's like to edit those pieces, to make it concise, precise, to still give it a little bit of poetry, to have other editors, which is something that we did this year. We have other people getting involved. I think curating those texts has been one of the most difficult things because it adds a different level of communication also. And you know, the word, you know, it adds, it's different, right? You have to write it down, but then you have to read it. So in
Out
that
loud.
reading out loud, there's even more semantics that gets integrated, meaning the way that you read it, your tone of voice. So it's really challenging for performers to that are dancers, meaning that they don't talk, to, you know, give a voice to their performance, literally. So that was very interesting. And we learned also a lot in the process. I think one of the biggest challenges was, like, for example, you and I, we come from academic formations in art. So we are trained, or we've been educated to continuously get feedback and respond. So meaning, for example, literature, like if I was doing a paper or something, I would send it to the teacher, the professor. He will edit it, give it back to me, and there's this constant back and forward that I think was a little bit challenging for certain dancers because they're not used to it. And it's one of the challenges that we still have in the project. It's like how to guide people to write, how to guide dancers to not feel that in that process of editing, their voice, it's being changed. Um, and yeah, developing that trusting also between us directors that are curating also the show. And that's the most challenging part. It's like, how do we create the space, you know, but at the same time, how do we make sure that the message it's being delivered, understood, and it still has poetry. So, you know, it's a couple of challenges there that we still are in the process of figuring it out. But I think we understand better the direction that we want to take with this, because it's not that you write it, it's that, you know, it's gonna go in a book. Once it's in a book, then it's in a different outlet, not necessarily out in the stage. So hearing it sounds different, reading it feels different, dancing to it is another story too. So yeah, we're going there. We're going there.
We're getting there, yeah. The process of bringing out, and we had to do that for our own choreographies and our own solos. So, um, eh, you know, we're all in this together when we begin that process of verbalizing our story and trying to get that message across, and then submitting it, receiving the suggestions, and then rewriting it again. If you know, it's the same thing when we work with a mentor for dance. You know, we show them the choreography, we show them the combos, they give us suggestions, they maybe change things here and there, but then it's that connection, that back to the collective, you know, experience, that communication that um we're doing, so that eventually the piece all comes together and your voice and your story is heard, and also not, as best as we can, not have the audience misinterpret what you're trying to say. Because a lot of times, colloquially, you know, we'll speak to each other and we get what we're saying, but it's because we have this certain way that our culture speaks, but when it's in a general context like a theater, or it's going to go published into a book, or it's going to go on YouTube and the whole world is going to hear it and see it,
Mm-hmm.
we have to make sure that what your story is saying is understood by the general public, and also somewhat poetic, because it's not just a straight shot. So it's exciting. It's really cool to do that process. And I feel like a lot of the dancers have learned, that we've worked with, have learned a lot about themselves, and also hopefully have been, their confidence has boosted as well, because
Mm-hmm.
when we go in and record at HGAP Studios in the podcast room, they change. I feel like that's one of the most exciting things for us, when they go and they put the headphones on, they sit down, they're in this space, and they hear themselves speak, and they're in this, like, holy crap, like a professional setting. And then it clicks for them. I see it in their eyes and I hear it in the voice when it changes. It clicks for them that this is for real. This is something that is serious. This is something that my voice is being heard. And then they really start to express, what their intentions are. So the environment, makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. That's an aha moment when they go to the studio to record.
Yeah. So it's been a really cool experience so far. Because it's not just the performances, it's everything else. It's working with them and recording and then reworking things. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a really cool experience that we are bringing to the art form, that the art form hasn't really had a chance to experience it in this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're giving. That's what we're giving back in
Mm-hmm.
that way. We have to do it ourselves. Um, we can't just have other entities and platforms, do it for us. We belly dancers have to elevate that in our own unique ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that is the most of what we have learned, our challenges, our successes within this 1 year of producing 2 theater shows, 1 podcast season. And now what's next is, um, podcast season number 2, which we're in the middle of recording, and a dance lab that we did a little bit in the spring of Break a Leg. It was a tiny little pilot, but now we're actually doing a longer pilot, which we're super excited about. It's going to be a 10-week program, and it's going to last from September to December. And the dancers are going to be able to, um, get more creative and basically do a mini belly dance stories experience with
Mm-hmm.
you, with me, and our special guest, our special instructor, Hanan.
Hanan.
Hanan, which we
Hanan.
both have.
Hanan. So,
Hanan. I mean, wow.
and you don't need to be in Miami to enjoy this process. I think the lab is gonna be great to, give different creative tools to dancers in order for them to uh, expand the repertoire of expression in this dance. It's going to include creative writing, theatrical information, theatrical preparation. And the good thing is that it's 10 weeks, you know. I think the biggest learning experiences that I had as a dancer is when I dedicate for a long period of time to prepare and work with one piece, rather than just decide to perform and pick the song like a few days before, which is great. That idea of improvising is great, but when you dedicate to something, conceptualize it, that's when you actually grow a lot as an artist. So we're
Mm-hmm.
super excited that this lab is going to be a 10-week lab with a final performance, same thing that we have done in Belly and Stories, but in a more micro setting, in a smaller theatrical production. but still very meaningful. And I'm super excited also to integrate somebody like Hanan, that her work has been basically using belly dance as a different uh, tool of social justice, uh, using belly dance to talk about more deeper subjects like her work of Havana Habibi. She's also a filmmaker also, so she's been working in different disciplines. She's been a curator also. So we have a great resource that we bring into our community to help us, dive even deeper in when it comes to the artistic expression. So we're super excited to continue expanding now Belly and Stories to a production, but also to create a mentorship that could benefit other dancers across the world, to have more tools to express themselves and like to explore with their artistry.
100%. I'm very excited about that. I can't wait to see what we learn from that also,
Yeah.
and how we connect, more. For me, it's always about learning. It's always about adding on to my my connection with people, my experiences, and that vocabulary yeah, um, I'm excited to learn what's going to come out of that, and I'm excited to also give in that experience as well.
Yes.
So we're going to be teaching our technique classes, you and I. You're going to offer yours Tuesdays at 6:30. I will offer mine technique classes Sundays at 12:15. They're going to have different theatrical, practical concepts. And then Hanan is going to be teaching master classes twice a month online. And she's going to be giving us a lot more uh, really fun and juicy things to think about. So I don't want to say too much yet. But, and then we're going to be having at the end of each session a mentor meetup, which is really nice because that way we all get together and then we connect and we talk about what we're learning so far, and we process better when we're together instead of on an individual basis. I think things come together when at the end, when you're talking to your mentor and then you're starting to see and feel the effects of what you've been learning.
Exactly.
So the mentor
Conversations
meetups
are a great tool for learning too, responding to each other. So I'm very excited to work at this level also.
exactly.
So lots of things
So
coming up.
a lot of things coming up. So yeah, if anybody has questions about that, awesome. Let us know. And I think that concludes our anniversary podcast. Woo!
We did it, Alex. We're doing it.
Ah, wow. I still am in shock at that it's been 1 year.
Yeah, and we have done all of this. So
Done so much.
you know what that
Thank
means,
you.
people? We love what we're doing. We love you guys too.
Yeah. We love you guys. We appreciate and really cherish your trust in us in this project. So yeah. Thank you, Val.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. We hope to see you super soon. Stay tuned for that break a leg. It's gonna be amazing. Highly recommend you to enroll and be part of it. And I'll see you guys soon, right, Alex?
Yeah, we'll see you guys very soon.
Thank you for joining us on the Belly Dance Stories podcast. Ready to write your story with us? Send them to our email, bellydancestories@gmail.com.
Visit our website for the latest news about our production at bellydancestories.com. And remember that you can follow us on Instagram at bellydancestories. _stories. And remember,
let your body speak
loud and beautiful.